Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Mixed Martial Arts channel. We're here today to break down the Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong card at UFC Seattle today. God, this one had some incredible early finishes in the prelims early on. And then a pretty decent main card with a bit of a lackluster main event, unfortunately. So we're going to get into that and discuss every single fight on the card. I'm going to make my way down, starting at the very top with the main event and making my way down to the very last prelim of the night, or first prelim of the night, technically, in watching order. Guys, as I say with every single one of these videos, you can find any fight you are looking for on the timeline and it will all be chaptered, so you can find whatever breakdown you are looking to hear most about. And I will say that as I get closer to the bottom of the card, everything that I am talking about is still going to be very researched, and I'm going to be talking about my experiences of watching the fight. However, please do take it with a grain of salt, as I am talking about guys that I may have not seen all that much of for until tonight. So let's get straight into it with the main event of Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. Now, I'm actually not going to spend that much time talking about the main event here, just because obviously there is a lot to talk about, so let's just get straight into it. Song Yadong, in my opinion, was up 3-0 against Henry Cejudo. Now, I believe the scorecards were 29-28 and 30-27, so some judges believed Henry had won a round in there. I don't see that as being impossible, but that is not the way I scored it. I had Song Yadong up all 3 rounds, with Henry doing better at the end of the first 2 rounds. So Song kind of controlled that first round, and then at the end, Henry kind of came back and started to mount some damage. And at the end of the second round, Henry actually had Song pretty hurt, which was where I started to say, okay, maybe Henry can kind of build from this moment. Third round didn't quite go his way. Song was, in my opinion, I guess maybe it wasn't as clear as I thought, but it seemed like Song was pretty clearly winning that round as well, up until the eye poke, where he sticks 2 or more of his fingers into Henry Cejudo's eyes, at least one finger in both eyes. This was a pretty bad eye poke. Upon the eye poke happening, everyone in the crowd just kind of goes, oh, what the hell's going on, you know, boo. Henry reacted but didn't jump to the ground like, oh god, I got poked in the eye bad. But upon walking away, we look at the replay and see that Song has gouged the fuck out of Henry Cejudo's eye socket. Henry took the entire 5 minutes to wait and give his eyes a chance to recover. And after the doctor being back and forth, a lot of complaining to the referee, constantly saying, I can't see. Whilst watching this, I was saying, Henry, dude, be careful of your choice of words here, because you're going to end up getting this fight stopped if you're not careful. If they keep hearing you saying, I can't see, or my eyes blurry, my vision's blurry, those are the kind of words that get the doctor to walk in and just stop the fight and not even let you contest that decision from them. Luckily, that didn't happen, but it didn't end up mattering anyway, because after they come back from that eye poke, Henry pretty much takes that entire last 45 seconds or minute or whatever it was, maybe minute and 15, to let Song just chase him, and just is running away the whole time just to avoid getting finished or knocked out in the end of that round. And then he goes back to his corner and says, I can't see, man. I can't see it. My vision is bad. It's like, I can't fight like this. And he continues to say it over and over again. Doctor comes into the octagon after that, has a look at Henry. They end up talking back and forth with the referee a lot. The referee decides he's going to stop the fight, and it's going to go to a decision based on the first 3 rounds of the fight. And evidently, that was Song Yadong, who, as I said, had won, in my opinion, all 3 rounds. On 2 judges' opinions, I believe, had won 2-1 over Henry Cejudo. So it's a fucking really unfortunate way for this main event to have ended on a card that was full of so many knockouts and so many very fun fights. The only upside that there was to this was it was pretty much all just like, man, fuck everything about this, up until the post-fight interviews. Now, I have heard, apparently, that Dana has said that he doesn't want to do this, which I think is fucking disgraceful. Okay? I don't, if Dana really does disagree with what they both asked for in their post-fight interviews, he just wants Henry to retire, and there is no other reason for that. You could put these guys in the apex. It doesn't matter. You need to give them what they both asked for, which is a rematch. Even Song Yadong, who got given the fight, one judge said he won all 3 rounds. Even Song said, Henry's a legend of the sport. I didn't mean to poke him in the eye. I didn't want the fight to end like this. I think we should have a rematch. I'd like us to fight again. And Henry said, yeah, man, 100%. Of course, I definitely think that we should do that. I just couldn't see, like out of my left eye. And to make a note of it, Henry's left eye was very red, and there was like what looked like bleeding on the inside of the eye. When the whiteness of your eye starts to go very, very red, and the red veins in your eye become very accentuated. That's what the inside of his eye looked like. Now, people are going to complain about this a lot, I can assure you. People are going to call Henry a baby. People are going to also defend him and say that it's unfair to call him that. But my opinion on this is Henry probably could have fought, and he probably thought about whether he wanted to and just weighed up the option and decided, I'm losing this fight. I can't see now. I'm only going to lose the fight more. I might risk getting knocked out. The best option for me here is to just take this as a technical loss. I can kind of combat it. I can combat the narrative of it with that forever. I can always say, yeah, but we know the situation with that fight was weird, even though it was a loss on my record. So Henry I disagree with what people will say that he took the easy way out. I don't think that's fair to say at all. But I'm saying that he took the easy way out because that's the narrative other people are going to run with. But Song Yadong literally said himself, that was unfair. I don't want a fight to go on. I don't want to win a fight like that. Let's have a rematch so that we can make this clear. I think that's the only fucking clear thing to do. You can't just give Song Yadong a big contender now that he beat Henry and he's ranked number 7 in the division. Like, that's not fair to him or Henry. And you can't just let Henry go and retire after this. Henry said that this was the fight that's going to dictate whether he retires. Either he loses and he retires, or he wins and he goes again until his last loss, and then decides that his career's over. If he loses again, we wanted to make one more title run. This is just a shit way for it to end, and in my opinion, Dana, it's fucking disgusting of you to not remake this fight. What I was saying before about the Apex. Literally, if you hate them so much and you hate this concept so much, great. You've got a dope fucking main event to put in your Apex that you insist on having fucking card after card after card inside of. If you want to continue putting together fucking Apex cards all the fucking time, make this a main event of one. There you go. Easy Apex card for you. It doesn't have, this should be either a pay-per-view co-main event or a fight night main event so that it can be 5 rounds. And if you don't want to put them in the main event spotlight again in front of another crowded arena, or you don't want to risk a co-main being pushed up to a 5 round between them as well, ending up being sleepy or something like that, or something else happening, whatever. I don't understand at all how you would think that this fight isn't a great marketing ploy to rematch it again and stuff like that. Then just put him in the Apex, man. If that's what you really want, I'm sure they'll accept it. They both, Henry would rather do that than retire off of this, and Song says he wants to fight Henry again. I doubt Song's fought in the Apex many times before. He's not going to complain. It's only Henry that would want to complain about not being in an arena in front of a crowd, and he is not in a position to argue about it because he's being given the opportunity to rematch the guy by the guy that beat him, and his boss is literally trying to make sure that fight doesn't happen. So put them in the Apex if you fucking really want to. But I think this rematch needs to happen. And I want it to happen. I think that it's a retarded take as an MMA fan to think that you don't want to see this fight again. Why the fuck not? It was fun while it lasted. Henry didn't even use any wrestling. It was exclusively striking. And while Song had good moments, Henry actually looked great. If you ask me. I was giving the rounds to Song, but Henry still looked good. And it was a fun fight, and he was making it brawly. And we were starting to see them put together their game plans. Song was working the leg a lot, and he was really starting to hurt that lead leg of Henry Cejudo over time. Cejudo had Song bleeding out of the nose because he bopped him pretty hard on it earlier on in the round, and he'd started to figure out moments on how to counter Song, and he was barely getting hit upstairs. Song was clipping him with stuff, but there was not a lot of damaging shots that were hitting Henry from Song Yadong or anything that was clearly marking him up or anything like that, whereas Henry was landing some big stuff upstairs less often, as Song Yadong was ahead on the strikes for that reason, but Henry was landing arguably the big moments came from Henry. But Song was chewing up his leg, working him with that distance management. I just wanted to see this fight end. And I literally said, bar for bar, during this fight, man, I hope that this eye poke just does. I hope that we don't see a finish in this third round after the eye poke, after they come back from it, and we didn't. But I was saying, all I want is for this to be a clear, concise fight with a clear, concise ending. And that didn't happen. I was saying Henry needs to either, coming off the back of 2 losses that were clear losses on his record, but it's to 2 of the best guys in the division, and he made them close fights with both of them, and they were decisions. And then Song Yadong has had his issues before with a draw in the UFC and a doctor stoppage against Corey Sandhagen, and he just had a close fight with Petr Yan. So I didn't want to see him have to either get a controversial loss off the back of that or be a controversial win off the back of that. And we've lost in both scenarios here. Song Yadong is of a controversial win after just losing to Petr Yan. He would probably be in a position to get another top 5 fight if this was actually a real clear victory over Henry Cejudo, but now he's not. And Henry Cejudo is now in a position where he technically is on a 3-fight losing streak, but it's only really been 2 close fights with former champions and a bullshit decision eye poke stoppage against Song Yadong, where a rematch would be necessary. So to me, it's unfortunate. It's a shitty way to end this very fun card, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the main event. Okay, moving on to the co-main event of the night, Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez. Now, this was a pretty close fight in my opinion. So the first round I gave to Brendan Allen, just based off, they both kind of had a lot of back and forth grappling moments, and both moments of like good grappling as well. But I think I gave the edge just in a couple of moments to Brendan Allen over dominance, and his striking in the round as well being much more effective than Anthony Hernandez's striking in the round. I believe there was 1 or 2 pretty nice crispy shots that Brendan Allen landed at a point, and to me that just edges the scale in his favor. It wasn't a super close round, but it was a close round. But I give that one to Brendan Allen. Second round was pretty clearly Anthony Hernandez. He had like 3 or 4 minutes of control time in that round, and there was almost no strikes from Brendan Allen whatsoever. It was just entirely fluffy, floating on top of him, constantly transitioning into maintaining his top position, no matter where they were transitioning to, whether Brendan Allen would roll over to his back or roll up to his knees or get up to one leg or up to one knee, and you know, whatever it is. Fluffy was really good at just constantly bringing it back down to the ground and maintaining that float and just floating over Brendan Allen's transitions between different positions. And then the third round comes around, and I'm thinking, hey, we're 1-1. This third round is the decider. And it's kind of close at first, but as the round goes on, Anthony Hernandez just starts to continue to do what he did in the second round and just lay on top of Brendan Allen a lot. Not saying that it was terrible, okay, but it was annoying. Compared to the second round, where there was a lot of transitioning, there was a lot of submission attempts, there was a lot of looking to establish control and dominant position from Anthony Hernandez. Into this third round, it was way more just holding Brendan Allen down, not throwing a lot of strikes. We're talking a bit of a Marab round. That was a very Marab performance from Anthony Hernandez in that third round against Brendan Allen. Lots of knees to the thigh, standing up while you're on the ground. So we're not talking about you're being out wrestled. We're talking about one guy is sat on his butt or on one knee on the ground, and the other guy is stood up on both legs, bent all the way over with like arms locked around the waist or something like that. That's not wrestling, man. I think that this is where I'm starting to really put the defining difference between what I actually consider to be not only just what's grappling, but what's wrestling. Because grappling is obviously, I'm thinking position transitions, I'm thinking takedowns and stuff like that. But when you say wrestling, I'm thinking, yeah, being in on the hips, getting a lock around the waist or something like that. Managing to stand in a position where you're chest to shoulder blades with a guy on his back or something like that, you know, or like crotch to butt, like where you've got him in a lock or something. But I'm really starting to not at all any longer identify the standing opponent holding on to a grounded opponent as wrestling, because it's not. It's wasting time, and it gets done by a lot of fighters. And I'm not saying that it's like illegal or something. It's totally illegal, but almost every single time it happens, I immediately go, you're wasting time. Either you want to catch your breath, or you think that you can't win the fight if you let the fight actually happen. So choose one. Either quickly catch your breath and then get back to work, or advance your position here, because otherwise we know that either A, you are exhausted if you continue to do it, either we know you're exhausted and you just are not getting back enough energy to even begin to mount offense, and you're just like, I have to stay holding onto this position, otherwise I will lose. Or B, you just think that you're going to lose the fight if you do anything besides hold on to him in that position. And to me, that was I'm not saying that's entirely what Anthony Hernandez did here, but that style of fighting is really the way that's how I'm starting to see that style of fighting as. And how Hernandez did that for a good 2 minutes or so in that last round. But my anger, it wasn't really anger. Like, I wasn't angry watching it, but like I say, like my disdain for that kind of game plan, or even not even game plan, because I'm not even trying to say that Fluffy had that game plan before the event, but he utilized that game plan once that third round came around. That kind of game plan is annoying to watch, but what's even more annoying to watch is when you are given takedown opportunities, when you are given submission attempt opportunities, and you refuse to fucking take them. You refuse to actually, like make use of the opportunity at all. And that's what Brendan Allen did in that third round, especially in that last 60 seconds, 90 seconds or so of the round. He got Fluffy off of him at one point and got up to the feet, and he just refused to strike with him where he was being better. He just insisted on getting takedowns, and then ended up throwing himself into bottom position again with like 30 seconds left in the fight, and you end up on bottom again because you threw yourself there like an idiot, bro. Brendan fucking Allen, my guy. You have really good abilities, but you're fucking stupid. Your fight IQ is really bad. It's really bad. Like, and I already kind of had this, I get opinion a little bit, but I wasn't too like deep on it. And I remember after making my own prediction video, going and watching, it may not have even been MMA Guru's full prediction video. Maybe it was just a clip of him on a stream or something. But he's talking about Brendan Allen, and he's saying, man, like, you just got to remember, this guy is dumb, dude. It's something like fighter intellect and fighter intelligence and fighter IQ. Fight IQ can be defined by something else other than actual intelligence. But sometimes you need to take into account how dumb a fighter is. Because even if they have good fight IQ at times, if they're dumb, they can have the duality of that position, position. They can have a position of duality in that realm by just having great moments of like, ooh, we made a really good decision there and got himself into a nice ass opportunity. But that's fight IQ. So if you've got good fight IQ, but you're dumb, you're gonna have the duality of that. You're gonna be in a position of duality, like I just said, in that realm, where you get good moments, and then you have fucking stupid moments where you throw away fights. It did it against Imafov as well, where he just laid on him, did nothing with it, and then refused to, even though that was winning him the fight, refused to employ that technique later on in the rounds with Imafov, and just got beat up on the feet with him. It really has to be taken into account sometimes. Fight IQ needs to be considered, but you also got to consider just how dumb is the guy. Because fuck me, Brendan Allen, you're stupid. You made stupid choices in the cage tonight, and you lost yourself the fight. And you lost you lost positions in the rankings. Got another loss. Sorry, I accidentally paused my recording in the middle of that. You lost yourself your win bonus, got another loss on your record, and just fucked it for yourself. So that's all I have to say. Brendan Allen, You made a big mistake, man, multiple times in that last round specifically. Anthony Hernandez did his thing. Fair play to him. I'm still not loving him. I was really hoping this would be a fight that would make me love him more. I enjoyed the early part of the fight where him and Brendan were having lots of scrambly back and forth moments of grappling and changing up positions and stuff like that. But other than that, I really wish Hernandez would give up on this wet blanket technique he's using, because I feel like he can win fights without it. And he's really like resting on his laurels and just being like, this wins me fights, I'll do it. And it's gonna if it doesn't lose him fans, it's gonna make for a really disappointing opportunity, a really disappointing performance when he gets an opportunity against a top level guy. And he just like you've got like a top 3 opponent or something like that. Say, because I think that Anthony Hernandez versus Cannonier is the next fight to make. If he beats Cannonier, and it's also boring, but even if it's good, and then he gets a not title fight, sorry, and then he gets a top 5 fight with like a Robert Whittaker or something, and he just lays on him, like the fan base is gonna turn on you, man. They will turn on you. So just be careful, because it's clearly not all Anthony has to offer. He's not bad. He's just choosing the terrible fucking game plan, or terrible, game plan. Not in terms of victory seeking, but in terms of fan seeking and actually putting on impressive performances that show off your capabilities and techniques. So I want to see more from Anthony Hernandez in future, of less of the storing boring shit. Like, even the grappling sequences of Brendan Allen, you clearly can do more than just lay on guys. Float a bit, like you did tonight. Float a bit in your grappling. Let yourself get into a back take. Let yourself end up on full mount. Let yourself get into side control. We don't need to sit in this back take with no hooks in, half guard, full guard type shit that you do in so many fights. Like, please, Anthony, like, this is me saying as someone who hates Merab and his fight style. This is much less of a Merab, but it's got shades of it, and you're gonna fucking lose fans if you don't at least make it not your main go-to part of your game plan. So just do better next time, Anthony Hernandez. And Brendan Allen, take a fucking IQ test, because I swear to God, that shit's probably lower than room temperature. God damn. Okay, below that, we had a fight that a lot of people are going to be kind of up in arms about. I think people are going to be in disagreement on this one. Rob Font versus Gene Matsumoto. I picked Gene Matsumoto to win this fight, and I can see how people thought he won this fight, and in fact, I predicted the outcome of this fight during it. So in my fight companion, I said, after that first round, I was like, ooh, I feel like Rob Font won that round. I'm going to give it to him, but I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 judges gives that to Gene Matsumoto. Lo and behold, final decision. Well, 1 judge gave the round to Gene Matsumoto, the other 2 gave it to Rob Font. Round 2 comes around. I'm like, ooh, that's Gene Matsumoto's round. He won that round. And we could be looking at a 1-1 if Rob Font won that first round, like I think, or it could be 2-0 Gene, but I'm not sure. And then in the third round, Rob Font wins pretty clearly. And then as we go into a decision, I'm thinking, especially, it was somewhat close at times in that third round, but that cut from Rob Font just kind of, I think that's going to be one of the things that sold his win, but also he just did very well in the last 60 seconds of the round as well, and just really started to pour on pressure on top of Gene Matsumoto at the very end of the fight. So then when it came to the judges' scorecards, I was thinking, I give this to Font, 29-28. I wouldn't be surprised if they give it to Gene Matsumoto, but I'm not sure. And then, as I said, lo and behold, split decision. Round 1, 1 judge gave it to Matsumoto. Round 2, they all gave it to Matsumoto. Round 3, they all gave it to Font. And that's exactly what I called during the fight. Unfortunate, because my prediction on how this fight would go down was pretty accurate. I said that Font would be really good in the striking. He would probably do better than Gene Matsumoto. I'm sure Gene will try and strike with him, but when it doesn't work, because it probably won't work, he's going to resort to his grappling, which I believe will be much better than Rob Font's. He could get a submission, but I wasn't sure. I think I may have said submission, but I was considering either a submission or a decision for Matsumoto. But I said that his grappling was going to get him in the fight. over Rob Font, because once he tried the striking, realized he couldn't do it, he'd probably stick to grappling. And I kind of wish he did more often now. Obviously, that's easier said than done. And he did do a lot of grappling, so it's not like he didn't do any. But it was the time spent on the feet that lost him this fight, especially in that third round. Maybe he ran out of energy. Maybe he had an injury. Whatever reason, he just didn't chase the takedowns as much in the third round as he did in the second. But that was the way I saw this fight going, and it's exactly how it went. So I was really thinking like Gene might actually, after the first round, I was thinking, hey, Gene, if he continues to fight like this, it's going to follow through with my prediction, and he might win this fight, based on, weighing up his options and deciding that he needs to actually fight Rob Font in the grappling because it's where he's going to beat him. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough for him. Rob Font gets the split decision, 29-28 on 2 judges' scorecards, and 28-29 on the other. So, good job to Rob Font. He's a bit of a gatekeeper. That's kind of just the way he is and the way he has been. G. Matsumoto does kind of suck. He got given a ranked fight on short notice there, because it was meant to be Dominic Cruz versus Rob Font. So Matsumoto had a big opportunity. I think he took it on like 2 weeks' notice, so he didn't get a lot of preparation for it, and he didn't make the weight. I think they fought at 150 or 140. Wait, they're bantamweights. So 140. Sorry, but it's okay. We'll see what's next for G. Matsumoto. I'm not sure. They'll probably give him just another... He's got 2 wins, and then he just lost this one, but he had a good fight. I doubt they'll just give him another ranked fight or another ranked-esque fight, but probably close. A guy that's on his way to the rankings, for sure. Maybe you do, like, G. Matsumoto versus Alexandre Topuria would be a fun fight. I wouldn't hate that at all. Or Cody Haddon. Cody Haddon versus G. Matsumoto could be really fun as well. One of those 3, I wouldn't mind, so... we shall see. Maybe even Vinicius Oliveira. Anyway, we'll move on to the next fight now. What did I fucking say? Gene Silva. My boy is still on this generational run, okay? So, as I said in my prediction video, I called that Gene Silva would get a round 1 knockout, and it would be in brutal fashion, and my man delivered. My man absolutely delivered. The aura farming, clip farming, aura merchant, whatever you want to call him, king of the featherweight division at this point. Like, what more can be said about a first round knockout? Next fight, knocks out Charles Jourdain with a brutal uppercut, missed weight, but then moves up to lightweight on 2 weeks' notice, fights Drew Dober, and knocks him out with a spinning elbow. It ended up being a weird stoppage, but still, spinning elbow to the face that just like, Drew Dober was fucked up badly, cut open horrendously. And then he comes back down to featherweight, makes the weight this time, fights a real contender who's a kickboxer like himself, and knocks him out cold. And bro hit the Pereira. Bro hit the Pereira. He hit the fucking... He didn't do the actual Pereira thing, but after he knocked Melsik Baghdasaryan down, he just stood over him like this and just looked at the referee like, what are we going to do with him? Oh, you want me to finish him? Okay. And then follows him down to the ground and just goosh, 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 just digs elbows into his body and a couple of shots to the head as well. And the referee was like, okay, that's enough. So I feel like the referee could have stopped it there, but I don't hate that he didn't, because he gave Gene Silva the chance to clip farm and then be more concise in the stoppage too, because Baghdasaryan was down covering up like this, but he had several seconds to get up, move, do something, where Gene Silva didn't even go down to him, and Melsik just stayed covering up. And then Gene Silva was able to be like, okay, I'll go down and finish him off. If Melsik had have just done anything, just like shot his hands out and tried to get up or something, we may have seen a possibility of the referee not wanting to stop it. But because of just how stiff and still Melsik was sitting, even though he wasn't unconscious, he was just sitting completely still at the bottom there, on the canvas there. That was it. It was the end of the fight. My man is a god of aura. Okay? This guy is on a 4-fight KO streak in the UFC. How often does that happen? Okay? Undefeated in the UFC as well. He's on I believe this puts him at a 12-fight winning streak. Allow me to confer with 12-fight winning streak. Bro. 12 fights, and it's a round one knockout round 1 guillotine, round 1 flying knee, round 1 knockout, round 1 guillotine, round 1 knockout. He's a round 1 guy quit in his corner. Contender series, unanimous decision, okay, against Kevin Vallejos. Round 1 knockout, Weston Wilson. Round 2 knockout, Charles Jourdain. Round 3 doctor stoppage against Drew Dober. And round 1 knockout against Melsik Baghdasaryan. I called it in my prediction video. Told y'all he was going to get a round 1 KO. The Aura Merchant himself is on a generational run here, okay? Fighting Nerds Gym, I already had so much faith in them, and I've been considering making a video about it. I think I definitely need to make a video about it now. But it's getting out of hand at this point, okay? It's getting out of hand. Carlos Prates is on a fucking... How many? Let's look. I'm going to look at every fighting note here. Well, there's 4 of them, so... Carlos Prates is on a Contender Series knockout. Oh my god. Carlos Prates got a knockout in the Contender Series, and since then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 knockouts in a row. And now he's in the rankings. Okay? And if we want to look at Kayo Bahio, much less finishes, I'll say with Kayo Bahio, but still. Kayo is 17-1. He came into the UFC with a decision win on the Contender Series. 2 in a row, actually. He went on the Contender Series twice in a row. I guess maybe the first one was a little uneventful. And then on the second Contender Series appearance, he got a finish, round 1. Comes into the UFC, 3 decisions in a row, then chokes out Michael Olajaychik in the second round. Fights Abus Magomedov, goes to a decision with him. Fights Paul Craig, knocks him out cold. Fights Jared Cannonier, and fucking brutalizes Jared Cannonier, and arguably did knock him out in that last round, if you ask me. Just saying. I feel like that was actually a knockout from Kayo Bahio. Then, Mauricio Hufi, Contender Series, round 3 finish. Jamie Milaki, his UFC debut, round 1 flying knee and punches knockout. James Lontop, decision, but when you're going in there against fucking Peruvian Nate Diaz and the guy just cannot be knocked out and you just absolutely dance on his grave for 3 rounds straight, just style on him, not the whole way through, it can be, you know, we can look past it. And now he's about to fight Bobby Green, and Carlos Prates is about to fight Jeff Neal. And we now know that Gene Silva, in his post-fight interview, made a call out to Bryce Mitchell, and Bryce Mitchell has since responded on Twitter saying, let's do it. So, fuck yes. Let's see if there has actually been anyone talking about this news-wise about... No, okay, that's okay. But Bryce Mitchell vows... Okay, here we go. Bryce Mitchell said in response, there is only one Lord, and it ain't you, fool. There's only one Lord, and it ain't you, fool. You need a country ass whooping. It will make you humble. It will humble you just right. Okay, so we're probably going to see that fight. And I believe Dane said during the Seattle post-fight press conference that there's probably many people who want to see that fight come to fruition. So Dane is not opposed to it. At first I said I don't think that'll happen because Bryce Mitchell just had to fight Crone Gracie, who is outside the rankings and not even on a win streak at the time. So I would have thought that he's earned the right to get a ranked opponent at least in his next fight, being that he's in the rankings. But if they want to do that fight, I'm all for it, bro. I'm all for it. I think Gene Silva mops the floor with Bryce Mitchell, unfortunately. Bryce Mitchell's got great grappling, but his striking will not hold up with Gene Silva, in my opinion. It will also, though, be a chance to test... Gene Silva's grappling and really see if there's anything to be questioned about his abilities. But that remains to be seen. For now, Gene Silva is the aura merchant of all aura merchants. Peyton Talbot, that's how you fucking do it, okay? That's how you get it done. That's how you continue a run. And I wish you were like this guy. But he has got so much more aura than you. He's base compared to you. And he's just a fucking better character. He's funny. Apparently in Portuguese, this guy's hilarious. But even aside from Portuguese, he's funny. I love the barking persona that like he's like acting like he's a dog, you know. As much as that sounds dumb to say he's acting like a dog, but like we call people dogs all the time in this sport, saying this guy's a fucking dog. Gene Silva's really embracing that. He's got this fucking tattoos are kind of insane as well. He's got like a fucking Hitman tattoo barcode on the back of his head now. The dude is just on he's at the I don't want to say at the peak of his career, because evidently if he continues to do better from now, it won't be the peak, but he's just continuing to peak at every appearance he has and every performance. So I hope that continues, and I can't wait to see what's next for Gene Silva. Okay, moving on, we had Alonzo Menifield versus Julius Walker. I've got very, very small amount of stuff to say about this fight. Honestly, it was a lot. This got fight of the night. I disagree with that. I think it was fun. I'm going to take these off now as well. I think it was fun, but I don't think it deserved fight of the night. It was abysmal. That's what I'll say. It was a big striking battle the whole time, just back and forth constantly, and I respect that. But it was really fucking sloppy. Like, this was a bar fight. If you put any of those guys in there with Yuri, with Carlos Solberg, with Jan Blachowicz, with Khalil Roundtree, they get fucked up really badly, because there was such little technique behind most of what they was throwing. Julius Walker, I liked what I saw from him, was just chin in the sky the whole time. It was super looping on his punches and not a lot of technique and grit and, you know, just like cleanliness to his striking. And Alonzo's always been like that in fights like that as well. So it was fun. Don't get me wrong, the striking numbers are crazy. There was like 113 to 114. They were throwing a lot of fucking punches, but it was sloppy and it was very, very skill lacking. That's what I'll say. So I enjoyed it, but I disagree with it being fight of the night, and that's all I have to really say about it, because it was kind of like, yeah, man, like it was a close fight. So if anyone's complaining about this decision, I can see it being a little bit of a contentious one, but I don't hate the Menifield call, you know. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. Okay, moving on to the prelims. So, Ion Cutelaba versus Ibo Aslan. This was a fun one. However, I did get it wrong, but my prediction was grounded in a little bit of truth here. I just picked the wrong guy. I said this is going to be a very quick fight. First round finish, most likely. These guys are both finish or get finished fighters. I know that Ibo Aslan only had one loss before this. It was a finish. However, his wins are all finishes, essentially. I don't know if he has any decisions. And Ion Cutelaba, while he does have decisions, wins and losses in his career, he has lost a lot, and he got finished a lot, and has gotten finishes a lot, just not quite as much as to be a exclusively like Terrence McKinney style, but you know, still in that vein. So Ion Cutelaba is a very simple one. Gets Ibo Aslan down, gets him in a triangle. I believe it was an arm triangle. No. Pretty sure it was a triangle choke, and he just starts squeezing away at Ibo, and I believe he made him tap, and that's pretty much all there was to it. It was quick. Before that, the fight was a bit scrappy. They're throwing shit at each other, you know, as is expected, but the Gyno master himself, Ibo Aslan, took the loss here, and just an unfortunate one for him. He's going to have a bit of a setback. He's going to have to go and fight some more contenders, and Cutelaba does what Cutelaba does and gets another win. He's almost got his record to 20-10, which would be a hilarious record to have, but he's at 19-10 right now, and he's got one draw and one no contest, so bit of an ugly record, but he got it done, and if you know, you know about Ion Cutelaba, so fair play to him. Below that, we had FIli versus Melquizael Costa. Now, this one was interesting. It was fun while it lasted, very short. Melquizael was outstriking FIli pretty substantially, actually. And then a very, very short fight, only one round as well. Towards the end of the round, after Melquizael had a lot of success with the striking, we get into a grappling exchange, and Melquizael locks in a guillotine on FIli. I didn't actually think it was that deep at first. And I was thinking, okay, this is where Andre now gets to decide whether he is stuck and just going to scramble like his life depends on it, or if he still has the opportunity to take it slow and try and ease his way out of this, or create a pocket of air to breathe through or something like that. And right as I had that thought, FIli just starts tapping. I was like, oh, that's fucking it. And as soon as he tapped, Costa let go. FIli immediately just stood up and raged, like got angry, because you could tell he was pissed that he gave up. So it's very unfortunate for FIli at this point. He's got an ugly record. He's got a Dan Hooker record now, right? It's 24-12. What's Dan Hooker's UFC record? I think it's actually like almost the exact same. 23-12 maybe now. 24-12, yeah. They literally have the same UFC record, but one of them is in the top 5, and one of them is now coming off of several losses by knockout and submission and whatever. He beat Cub Swanson in the last fight, obviously, but now he's coming off the loss to Melquizael Costa. Don't really care much about Melquizael Costa, not to be disrespectful about it, but sure, we'll see what he does. Maybe he continues to get some more good wins, but he's got a fair few losses in the UFC as far as I'm aware. It says he's only had 2 fights. That's only showing me 2 of his fights. He's had more than 2 fights in the UFC, brother. He's 3-2. So he lost to Thiago Moises, and then beat Austin Lingo, and then lost to Steven Garcia, and then beat whoever the fuck that guy is, can't say his name, Shailan, and then beat Andre Fili. So we'll see. Maybe he can mount together a few more wins and get a bit of a streak going. These are all finishes. Like he got finished by Thiago Moises, had a decision with Austin Lingo, then got finished by Steve Garcia, then got a finish over Shailan Nuan Debeki, Dan Bieki, however, and then got a finish over Andre Fili as well. So we shall see what's next for him, but fair play to him. Good job. Okay, below that we had Nick Klein versus Mansur Abdul-Malik. So this one was a interesting fight. Mansur is obviously a bit of a surging contender right now. Very dangerous. He wasn't necessarily winning the fight up until this point. It was a bit back and forth between the two of them. Nick Klein had been having his moments of success, but the fight ends with Mansur getting Nick up against the cage and just landing some brutal ground and pound shots. I believe he landed a shovel uppercut that came under the guard of Nick that really hurt him, and then from then just mounted just sporadic ground and pound and ends up getting the referee to step in, stop the fight. Nick Klein, unfortunate for him, he stepped in on short notice, I believe. Yes, he did. He replaced Antonio Tricoli. So he didn't have preparation for this like Mansur Abdul-Malik did. He did get to a second round with him, so fair play. But Mansur gets the finish, maintains his streak, maintains his exclusively finishes record, I believe. I could be wrong there. I'm pretty sure that's the case. He has had no decisions in his entire career. No decisions. And he's had 2 finishes in the UFC in a row now, as well as a finish on the Contender Series. So he's looking for a big jump up, I'd say, in talent, probably just outside of the rankings. So fair play to him. Good, well done. He's only 27 years old as well. He's very young. Nick Klein just came off of the Contender Series, and now he's lost his UFC debut, which is not great. It was short notice, so I'm sure the UFC staff or matchmakers will give him some credit for that, and not just... obviously, they won't cut him, but they gave him a UFC contract for getting a round 1 rear naked choke in 37 seconds, so that's impressive as hell. But he comes in, gets this loss, sucks, but at short notice against an undefeated tough guy, I'm sure they'll reward him by keeping him around and giving him a decent matchup that is probably somewhat winnable for him in his next fight. But good job to Mansur Abdul-Malik. Okay, below that we had Ricky motherfucking Simone. Brother, the rebirth of the Usman versus Masvidal KO. Again, it happened with Vitor Petrino in his fight with Dustin Jacoby, and it's happened again with Ricky Simone and Javid Basharat. Now, I called this fight to be Ricky Simone by decision. However, I was wrong. I was correct in what I said, that I think Basharat just ain't that good. He lost a decision to Ayman Zahabi in his last fight. That is not impressive at all of a loss to have. People can defend that all they want. And before that, he had that disgraceful fouling performance against Victor Henry, where he just kicked him in the nuts so badly. So unfortunate for him to have that performance. It's not entirely his fault, but it is what it is. Ayman Zahabi is not a great guy to have a loss to. Just saying. And now he's lost to Ricky Simone. So when you're coming into it, I thought Ricky Simone's probably he's more than likely, even though he's on a 3-fight losing streak. 3-fight losing streak, okay? I just felt like Ricky was due to have a bit of all of his losses are against good opponents. This was the first time he's facing a guy that's like, oh, this is a guy that he actually probably should beat. Song Yadong, great opponent to lose to, sure. Mario Batista, not bad as we've seen. Fair enough that you lose to him. Vinicius Oliveira, not bad at all. And I believe Vinicius was injured in that fight and didn't fight to his fullest extent, so it's a bit of that, but still made it to a decision with the guy. Fair enough. And then he gets Javid Basharat, which is a very beatable guy, in my opinion. So I predicted this is what he'd go out there and do. He's gone out there and done it. I'm very happy for him. And we shall see what's next for Ricky Simone. He definitely needed that. He was 8-5 in the UFC, so it was looking a bit rough if he was to lose this one and become 8-6. But now he's 9-5 in the UFC and back on a win streak. He came into the UFC, won 3 in a row, then lost 2 in a row, then won 5 in a row, and then lost 3 in a row. Bit of a Tai Tuivasa style career, you know, where lots of losses, lots of win streaks and loss streaks. So hopefully he can keep this one, keep going on another win streak again after having his losing streak cut short. He might end up not doing so. He is getting a bit old. Oh, he's not that old. He's 32. I thought he was like 34, 35, but fair enough. He's 32. That's not too bad for him. And it was a fucking nasty knockout, man. Let's just say that. For a guy who I don't think is that well known for knockouts, excuse my phone. No, he's got one knockout, but submission, and earlier on in his career, submission, then some knockouts earlier at submission. Yeah. Well, I can just look up here, right? He's only got 4 submissions and 7 knockouts, to be fair, but he got a lot of knockouts very early in his career. So fair play, Ricky Simone. Welcome back into the win column. We shall see what happens next. Maybe they give him a good matchup against an upcoming contender. Again, like I mentioned with the Gene Matsumoto and Rob Font fight, someone like a Cody Haddon or a Alexandre Topuria or someone like that could be very fun. So we shall see what they decide to do next. Okay, below that we had Nikolay Veretennikov versus Austin Vanderford. Fair play. This one, I didn't watch it to the fullest extent. I apologize. I was in bed watching this, so I was still kind of waking up. But the striking numbers were pretty far apart. Yep, 21 to 102, and 2 takedowns for Austin Vanderford. He kind of just managed to maul and ground and pound a lot on Nikolay Veretennikov, and weirdly, I didn't like the stoppage. Like, not to say that it was a bad or early stoppage, but it was just boring. Like, it was not a fun finish that Austin Vanderford got there. I was like, oh, he's probably gonna stop this fight here, right? Like, the guy's not really getting brutalized, but he's just not responding, and he's getting hit with like a lot of strikes in this ground and pound. Oh, there we go. They stopped it. Okay, all right, sure, fair enough. Kind of boring though. And then Nikolay Veretennikov gets up and pushes Austin Vanderford. He gets up and walks over to him and pushes him. Now, this is a fight that Nikolay Veretennikov, I should say, missed weight for, first of all. And then second of all, you just lost to the guy and you're mad at him and you're pushing him. He didn't foul you or something. So, weird ass interaction between the two of them. Fair play to Austin Vanderford, I guess. He got a finish. Welcome to the UFC. Maybe one day you have a hope of being known as something more than the biggest slut in MMA's boyfriend, Paige Van Zandt, but maybe not. Maybe that's all he's ever going to be known for. We shall see. If he continues to get boring finishes like that, it's not going to help, but if he can continue to get finishes in general, and maybe a little bit more concise and decisive, and clear and impressive, then I'm sure he has somewhat of a bright future next up for him. He's a 6'2", I believe, welterweight as well. So he's not a small guy. He's got pretty good size for this division, as far as I'm aware. Right? He's 5'11". I don't know who the fuck I'm thinking of. That's very, very standard for this division. Fair. Okay, just a kind of a normal height guy. He's 34, so he's getting a bit old. We'll have to see what comes next for him. I don't know if I have a lot of faith in him, but yeah, we'll see. Below that, we had a hood classic from Nursulton Ruziboev. Clips Eric McConico with a nice clean punch at the very beginning of the second round, and McConico didn't go down straight away, but was clearly very rattled, and his equilibrium was just melted from that point. And he's like doing the chicken dance, a little bit shaky, and then just starts to. Have you guys ever seen the clip of Shane Burgos and Edson Barboza, where Barboza hits him with like a head kick or something like that, and Shane like eats it and then stands there and just starts to. And just falls over into the back of the cage. It was kind of like that a little bit, but it wasn't such a delayed reaction, and it wasn't like Shane was essentially just pretending he was fine, like, I'm not falling. Oh shit, I'm falling. Whereas Eric McConico was more of like a, I'm good, oh shit, I'm not good. And then he started to like fall and twist up and like land backwards and like try and put his hands out, catch himself and get back on his feet. But Ruziboev jumped on that opportunity, put down some nasty ground and pound, and finish the fight. So, I believe he did. Yeah, that was how it ended. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. I don't know why I'm confusing some of these finishes now. But well done to Nursulton Ruziboev. Another finish, this time at middleweight. To be fair, I think all of his finishes have been at middleweight. He's only had one fight at welterweight, right? Against Joaquin Buckley. I know it's against Buckley, but I want to say that's the only fight he had at welterweight, correct? In the UFC, he has had middleweight, welterweight, middleweight. Yeah, he's only fought at middleweight besides the Buckley fight, which he lost. So he might stay at middleweight, but he said apparently that he wants to fight in both divisions. That's what he said in his post-fight interview. So we'll see what's next for him. We'll see which division he ends up fighting in next, and see if he can continue to get these nasty finishes, and without controversy, like poking Cedric Demas in the eye and whatnot. So congratulations to Nursulton Ruziboev, and well played. And lastly, we have Modestas Bukauskas with a nasty, I did not predict this, knockout over Raffael Cerqueira. Raffael is getting sent home in a body bag because he's not coming back to the UFC. They're gonna cut this motherfucker. Unfortunate for you, my friend, but you just got knocked out twice in a row in the first round in both your UFC appearances. Unfortunate. So, Modestas Bukauskas landed a couple of just nice combo shots on Raffael Cerqueira that had him backed up to the fence, and he was kind of starting to tee off on him pretty badly. And Cerqueira lasted more than 2 minutes in this fight. It lasted less than a minute in the first fight with Ibo Aslan. But I said in my prediction, I hope that this fight lasts long enough that Cerqueira can at least, if he loses, show some of his ability, show that maybe he deserves to stay in the UFC and get another chance. Nah, brother. You got slumped, bro. Somebody said in an Instagram comment section or something like that, he got given the Terrence McKinney treatment, which is fucking accurate and funny because of, I'm guessing there's a couple of Terrence McKinney moments that this has happened to. There's a duality of it, and it's kind of crazy. One of them is the head kick from Esteban Ribovic that knocked out Terrence McKinney, and he ended up like this, up against the cage. And also happened in this fight, Raffael Cerqueira got boots, big right hand was the final punch that put him out, and I believe it was a right hand, and he dropped and slumped down in the cage like this, and just crumpled up inside of himself, but it was up against the cage, which is similar to Terrence McKinney knockout with Esteban Ribovic. But Terrence McKinney has also, there's also a photo of Terrence McKinney going around on the internet, or it's very old, it's not a new thing, before his UFC career, when he was a bit of a criminal and a bit of a cretin, and got tased by police, and he's literally the same as when he got knocked out by Esteban Ribovic, sitting flat with his back against the cage, legs sprawled out in front of him, just like this. But it's him in a backyard sitting against someone's fence while the police tase him, and he's drunk or on acid or something like that. So kind of ironic, and there's a bit of duality to that. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I saw somebody mention that Cerqueira got the Terrence McKinney treatment, and I kind of agree. He certainly did, and now he's been knocked out twice in a row, so I don't think he's going to be able to stick around in the UFC any longer. Modestas Bukauskas is on a generational return to the UFC, however, to speak about the opposite side of this. He comes into the UFC back in 2020, gets a round 1 retirement, so Andre Michailidis' team threw in the towel, or he quit on the stool in the first round. Then he loses to Jimmy Crute in the first round by knockout, loses a split decision to Michael Olejniczak, and then gets kicked in the knee with an oblique kick by Khalil Roundtree Jr., and he got a bad knee injury from it, and at the same time got kicked out of the UFC. Got cut because he was 1-3 in the promotion on a 3-fight losing streak. Goes back to Cage Warriors, wins 2 fights in a row, gets back into the UFC, gets a decision win over Tyson Pedro, gets a decision win over Zach Palga, gets knocked out by Vitor Petrino, but then chokes out Marcin Prachnio, and now has knocked out Raffael Cerqueira. So he went from being 1-3 in the UFC in his first run to now being 4-1 in the UFC in his next run, and overall he is 5-4. So tonight actually put him into the even column in being or not even put him into the positive realm of being more wins than losers on your UFC record. Losses on your UFC record. So welcome back. Obviously, he's been back for a while, but welcome back to the game. Modestas Bukauskas, you're actually on a bit of a run right now. I have a feeling they're going to give him a fight that is either against a ranked opponent or a fight to get a ranked opponent in your next fight after that. So congratulations to him. I'm very happy for him, and I am excited to see what comes next for him. So that is going to be all for today. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you did enjoy this card breakdown as usual. Nice and long as always. I managed to avoid this time saying I promise it'll be short after this fight, because it never is. I did actually do pretty well to cover the rest of the card pretty quickly after the main card. But lots of fun fights in this card. Be sure to go check out my Fight Companion if you want to go see any of my reactions. I watched from Ibo Aslan versus Cutelaba upwards. I watched the rest of those live, so you can find all my reactions to those in my Fight Companion using the chapters at the bottom of the timeline to find the fight specifically. I hope you guys did enjoy this one. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, let me know what was your favorite fight in this event. There was so many really good finishes, like just to name a few. The Cutelaba one was good. Melquizael Costa was okay. Ricky Simone's knockout was nasty. Okay, Nursulton Ruziboev, nasty. Modestas Bukauskas, nasty. Main card, Gene Silva's knockout, brutal. And yeah, Song Yadong and Cejudo was unfortunate, but 'twas what it was. So I hope you guys did enjoy. Be sure to, like I said, leave a like, comment, subscribe, go on notifications so you don't miss these videos or the live streams. There will be live streams for Fight Companions, as well as things like when I record my second channel videos, I might go live on this channel, and you can watch stuff with me as I record them, and they go up on the second channel later on. So thank you for being here. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys all in the next Mixed Martial Arts video.